Well, I've got the lovely Kate Mulvaney, who plays Robbie's mum in the film, to thank, because she was the one who suggested me to Michael way back when. And then we sat down over Zoom, kind of, Michael sold me the story. You know, I come from the UK, I know Robbie Williams, so I saw him when I was 9 years old in concert. I was kind of hooked there and then. You told me about the monkey, you showed me some of the previs. Feel and My Way. I was just blown away by it. You know, it's nothing like I'd ever seen before. So we then just had a really vigorous 4 days on Zoom, I think, with Simon Gleeson as well, just kind of workshopping scenes. There is one thing though, I remember Michael said, I think it was the second last day of auditions, he said, can you just send over a video of you dancing? Like whatever you want, Robbie or anything else. And like, you know, just to see how you move. I was like, yeah, cool. So there I am, kind of choreographing my own rock DJ music video back home. I send it, I'm really happy with it. Send it directly to the email that Michael had given me. And like a few hours go by, nothing. Next morning comes along, nothing. And then we have our last Zoom session. He's like, oh, did you get a chance to dance? I was like, yeah, I sent it over. He was like, no, I didn't see anything. What email did you send it to? And I sent it to an email that was one letter wrong, but it never got a bounce back. So there's someone out there that's got me rock DJing, body rippling all over the place. So yeah, God knows when that comes out.
Someone will post that. Kate Mulvaney, bless her. Because in Australia, Kate Mulvaney is this, you know, she and you can tell in the film because she plays Rob's mum. And she's not in the film for a lot of screen time, and yet she has so much impact. And we needed someone of her caliber to be able to pull off that performance. And so we were so fortunate to have Kate work on this. It was like such a win for me. I've grown up watching her on stage, just being blown away by the power that she inhabits, you know. And when she mentioned Jonno, obviously because of who she is, we were like, oh yeah, like this, if Kate thinks this guy's good. And she'd just worked with him over in New York.
On Hunters. For
and so we were very excited when we saw Jonno's work. We were also, the reason we did the rigorous Zoom thing is it's very, very difficult making these decisions remotely. You know, you really want to get in the room. And bless Jonno, he really committed to the work over Zoom. You know, and Simon Gleeson, who wrote with Oliver Cole, he sort of, Simon's an amazing actor, and so he, you know, he gets incredibly involved with the actors, and so it was great as well for Jonno to sort of have that first connection with Simon, even before he'd been cast. You know, we were sort of really establishing the dynamic of how we all work together, and you know, I've known Simon since school days, like literally when we were 15, we used to talk about like making movies together. So this is like a dream come true on so many levels. And I just think that, you know, we were so taken with what Jonno could do via Zoom, but we couldn't give him the role. So we said, come over here, but just pack a bag as if you're going to stay. That was kind of the advice, right?
Yeah, it was like, you'll know in 24 hours. So I might be there for 3 days or 3 months. So I was packing, was like, I'm not packing more than 5 pairs of pants, because if I don't get this thing and I've got to repack everything, I'm going to be so depressed.
So yeah, so Jonno came over, and you know, it was instant. And then I kept having to ask the producers, like, can I tell him he's doing it? Like, he's doing it, so can we just tell him, you know? And I remember when I told you in my office, I vividly remember the day that I was given the go-ahead that I could officially tell Jonno that he was going to play Robbie. It was. I think for Jonno it was a real moment, but for Simon and myself, who'd done all this work with him, we were so excited because what we'd seen over those Zoom calls, we knew if we got to do that over the course of the film, we were going to have something really special.
I think what was key for us straight away was making sure that we had more than one version of Rob. There's such a huge amount of information out there about Robbie Williams, the global superstar, bad boy, you know, cheeky monkey. And I think everyone, well, a lot of fans, a lot of public just think that's the one and only version that there is of Rob. But it was down to us to make sure that we showed his vulnerable side, the side of him that's his own worst enemy. There's something, we have a line in the film where he says, it doesn't matter what you say because what I say about myself is so much worse. So making sure we had that darkness. I worked with a director a few years ago called Alexandra Spencer-Jones, and she talked about the dark passenger that we all have inside of us. And it's kind of like your unfiltered, unedited version of yourself. And Robbie's is so close to the surface that it can just break through at any second. And you talked about it, how when you're around Robbie, you never know which direction things are going to go. He's so unpredictable. And that's what we wanted to capture on screen as well, that when you're watching him, you're just on the edge of your seat because you're like, what the hell is this going to go? What's he going to do next? So having that danger, having that raw honesty, I think is what we wanted to make sure was captured.
Yeah, it's so true. Like, I think the complexities that you see in Rob is true for everyone, you know, and that's what's beautiful is that he allowed us to show that and to explore that on screen, which is not that common. Usually you would get the watered down version of someone's life story. And to be able to tell the more honest version of that was, it was a real privilege. But, I mean, we obviously watched a ton of Rob, and Jonno studied a ton of how Rob moves and behaves as a performer. But then, of course, you know, we've got Ashley Wallen, Jenny Griffin, his assistant, the two of them. All credit goes to them. We've worked together for like 20 years. We did Sherman together, and I think the work that they've done on this film is the best work they've ever done. And it's amazing to say that because we've worked together for such a long time. They just keep getting better and better. And on this, I think they just went to another level. The choreography of both what's in front of the camera and the camera itself is incredibly choreographed. I feel
Which Ash sometimes
Ash is on that camera, moving the camera. So Ash is credited for choreography and for camera operating, which is just because what we found on Showman is that because we want such specific movements in the camera, and on this beat you have to be here, and on this beat you have to be down there. It's very hard to give counts to a camera operator unless they've got a background in dance. And so Ashley, who's built like a gridiron player, has no problem gearing up and holding the camera and having a beautiful flow to the camera movement. So yeah, on many of the musical numbers, it's actually Ashley on the camera.
It was beautiful, wasn't it? It was. We couldn't have asked for a nicer reception.
Yeah, the TIFF audience was spectacular. And there was two things that were incredible. One, the actual energy in the Roy Thompson Theatre was just amazing. But then it was also really special because it's the first time that Rob, myself, and Jonno have sat down and watched the film together. And, you know, there were moments that would play out and I would just see Rob reach over and put his hand on Jonno's knee. And, you know, it's very, very touching to watch someone who's being portrayed, you know, on film, sitting next to the person who portrayed him, you know. And for me, that was a really, really remarkable moment.
And I can't believe what it must be like for Rob to see that, you know, to have
such an incredible performance.
Oh, God, so lucky. Could you imagine having your life documented and put in that way, elevated with music, you know, fair play to him.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the people that weren't Robbie Williams fans to come to see this film and to have this new plethora of music that are not only like absolute bangers after bangers, but again, they're going to have this beautiful story that's attached to that music. So when they hear Rock DJ, when they hear something beautiful, it's going to take them to a place that we've hopefully created something like a really unique moment for them, and it provides a new relationship for people to have with Robbie's music.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think in terms of takeaway, I think there's the music takeaway, and then there is just the things that people can see in themselves, you know. And I think that's a really unique experience. I think what I learned on Showman is that people it's not necessarily what you think people are going to take. And I think that's what's beautiful about film. You put these narratives up there, and particularly something like Robbie's story that has so many, emotional highs and lows. The lessons learnt, or the way in which people see themselves in that story, it's a very personal thing and a very unique thing. So I always love hearing what people actually walk away with,